Forget everything you think you know about moths, the fluttery little brown things bumping into your porch light at night. They are not what they seem. While butterflies got all the fame, all the flowers, and all the children's books written about them, moths have been quietly evolving into some of the strangest, most disturbing creatures on the planet. There's a moth that drinks blood, real blood, from living mammals. Including humans, there's a moth that breaks into beehives and steals honey by pretending to be the queen. There's a moth so big it has no mouth, no stomach, and no way to eat, so it slowly starves to death as an adult. There's a moth caterpillar so venomous that touching it can cause your kidneys to shut down. And there's a moth migration so massive it once forced the Australian government to shut down stadium lights during the Olympic Games. This is not a story about cute insects. This is the dark side of one of the most overlooked species on Earth, and by the end of this video you'll never look at a moth the same way again. Let's start with the blood drinker. Yes, there is a real scientifically documented species called the vampire moth. Found in parts of Asia and Europe, this moth has a specially modified proboscis, that long straw-like tongue most moths use to drink nectar. Except this one is reinforced with tiny hooks and barbs, designed to pierce skin. It doesn't drink from flowers, it drinks from animals. Cattle, buffalo, deer, and in confirmed cases, humans. Researchers have allowed vampire moths to feed on their own arms during studies. The moth grips the skin, drives its proboscis through, and starts pumping blood for up to 50 minutes at a time. The bite is painful, the wound can swell for hours, and the moth doesn't fly off after a sip. It commits. It feeds, like a tiny fluffy six-legged Dracula. Scientists believe the vampire moth evolved from fruit-eating ancestors. Somewhere along the line, one of them realized blood was richer than juice, and evolution decided that was the future. Now let's talk about the beehive raider. The death's head hawkmoth is one of the most famous moths in the world. You might recognize it from the movie The Silence of the Lambs, the moth with a creepy human skull pattern on its back. But the real moth is even stranger than the fiction. This moth breaks into beehives on purpose. It walks straight into a hive guarded by thousands of bees, and instead of being attacked, it gets ignored. Why? Because the death's head hawkmoth has evolved a chemical disguise. It releases pheromones that mimic the scent of the queen bee, and sometimes even the scent of the worker bees themselves. The guards smell it, they register it as one of their own, they let it pass, and then the moth eats their honey, just walks into the storage chamber, sticks its tongue into the honeycomb, and drinks until it's full. It's like a burglar who walks into a bank wearing the manager's face. Total success. The bees don't even know they've been robbed. Some scientists believe the death's head hawkmoth can also produce a high-pitched squeak. Yes, this moth squeaks. That sounds remarkably similar to the call a queen bee makes to keep the hive calm. It's biological hacking at its most advanced. Now let's talk about the moth that starves to death on purpose. The Atlas Moth is one of the largest insects in the world, wingspan up to 12 inches. Bigger than your hand, bigger than some birds. They live in the rainforests of Southeast Asia. They look like giant, painted flying tapestries. And here's the horrifying part. Adult Atlas moths have no mouths. I'll say it again because nobody believes it the first time. They have no mouths, no working ones, no tongue, no way to eat, no way to drink. The digestive system is completely useless. So when an Atlas moth emerges from its cocoon, the clock is already ticking. It has maybe 1 to 2 weeks to live. Its only purpose is to find a mate and reproduce as fast as possible. Every flight, every wing beat is burning through energy reserves it can never replace. By the end of those 2 weeks, the moth is too weak to move. It collapses in the rainforest, slowly starving to death, while still beautiful, still painted, still magnificent. It is a creature designed to live a short, glorious, doomed life. Born only to make more of itself, then erased. Now let's get into the kidney killer. The puss moth caterpillar, also known as the asp caterpillar, looks like a tiny piece of cotton candy with fur. It's small, it's fluffy, children try to pet them. Adults sometimes mistake them for small toys or seed pods on tree bark. Touching one can put you in the hospital. Underneath the soft hair-like fur are dozens of venomous spines. The pain from being stung is described as instant, intense, and radiating. spreading up the arm or leg like fire. Within minutes, victims experience burning, swelling, vomiting, fever, and chest pain. In severe cases, the venom causes hemolytic effects, meaning it damages blood cells. People who've been stung multiple times have suffered kidney damage, internal bleeding, and full organ failure. There have been documented cases of children being hospitalized for days after a single brief touch. Some victims have required dialysis, a few have died, and it doesn't even look dangerous. That's the problem. It looks like the cutest insect on Earth, and it's secretly one of the most venomous caterpillars in North America. But here is the most insane moth story of all, the bogong moth. In Australia, there is a moth that performs one of the largest insect migrations on the planet. Every spring, billions of bogong moths fly hundreds of kilometers from their breeding grounds in the lowlands to the cool caves of the Australian Alps. They travel only at night. They use the stars in the Earth's magnetic field to navigate. They have been doing this for thousands of years. And in the year 2000, this migration created an international embarrassment. That year, Sydney was hosting the Summer Olympic Games. Lights everywhere, stadiums full of athletes, spectators, and television cameras broadcasting to billions of people worldwide. It was supposed to be Australia's biggest moment, and the moths showed up. Millions of bogong moths, drawn by the brilliant lights of the city and the Olympic Stadium, swarmed Sydney in numbers nobody could have predicted. They covered the buildings, they flooded the streets, they flew into the eyes, mouths, and ears of athletes during opening ceremonies. Officials had to dim the stadium lights at certain events to reduce the swarm. Cleaning crews swept up moth bodies by the bucketful every morning. The TV broadcasts had to constantly cut around moths landing on cameras and athletes. It was the most embarrassing insect invasion in the history of modern sports. But the bogong moth wasn't trying to ruin the Olympics. It was just doing what it had always done, flying to its summer hiding caves. Humans had built a giant glowing distraction directly in its flight path. The moths got confused, they followed the lights, and the Olympics, briefly, became a moth festival. So now you've met them. The blood drinker, the hive thief, the starving giant, the kidney killer, the Olympic invader. Moths are not the boring brown cousins of butterflies. They are alien, ancient, and far more bizarre than the colourful insects that get all the attention. There are around 160,000 species of moths in the world, almost 10 times more than butterflies. They are older, they are more diverse, and they are far, far stranger. So why did butterflies get all the love? Because they fly during the day, because their colours are bright, because they sit on flowers in nice photographs. Moths fly at night, they live in shadows. They show up in horror movies. They get blamed for stealing your sweaters even though it's actually their tiny caterpillars that eat the wool. But strip away the marketing and the truth is clear. Butterflies are the influencers. Moths are the ones doing the wild, weird, terrifying work of evolution behind the scenes. Drinking blood, robbing beehives, surviving with no mouths, killing with venom that shuts down your kidneys, and occasionally crashing the Olympics. Nature didn't make moths the underdogs. We did, by underestimating them. If this completely changed the way you see moths, hit that subscribe button and join the Untold Earth family. We expose the strangest, darkest, most overlooked truths about the natural world every single week. And I want to know which of these moths shocked you the most. Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one.